Okay, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day to attend our presentation for the NeoFace Watch application. My name is Chuck Davenport. I'm a Senior Account Executive on the enterprise side with Forerunner Technologies. We are a triple diamond dealer for NEC and carry their full line of products. We're focusing on the NeoFace Watch product for this month's webinar. We believe this product transcends various vertical markets. There are many applications for the NeoFace Watch solution, aside from the obvious one for identifying the bad guys per se. In a basic format, can be used to provide head count, crowd control, user access, all risk type of scenarios, monitoring an area that may or may not need to be occupied during certain parts of the day. It's just an extra set of eyes on the business and corporation. So we wanted to focus on this product this month, and with us we've got Jason Zartman from NEC is going to be doing the presentation. This meeting is being recorded, and everybody is muted at this point. We'll take questions at the end, but you can certainly chat with me during the presentation via the chat feature of WebEx. So with that, Jason, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. Thanks, Chuck. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Jason Zartman. I've been with NEC for a little over 20 years now, and I'm leading the biometrics and facial recognition for NeoFace Watch for NECAM. So NEC has been providing solutions that may help improve the way people live and work and communicate over 118 years. Currently, NEC, with almost 100,000 NEC employees around the world and with 9 global research laboratories, NEC has produced over 64,000 technology patents over that time. NECAM is also, we're headquartered here in Irving, Texas. We've been in the U.S. for over 50 years, and we've been headquartered here in Irving for the last 30 years. So we also have a financial services organization. They've been supporting both enterprise SMB customers with innovative financial solutions, and been a big benefit to our customers as well. From leveraging our facial and fingerprint technologies to solve hundreds of cold cases and cataloging more than 1 billion Indian residents, in our leaders in this space cannot be questioned. Once again, NEC has been recognized as one of the 50 most innovative companies globally. And we are the world leader in facial recognition and biometrics for speed and accuracy. The business landscape has been changing rapidly and increasingly become more digital and interconnected, resulting in 4 key areas of focus. The mobile revolution and virtualization. We have over 9 billion mobile users today in the world. Everything's being virtualized into virtualized servers and virtual environments, cloud hosting. Business networking is now also being hosted through the cloud. We have customer engagement and IoT solutions as well, and security and big data. So we can biometrics, security, and we also supply servers and storage for big data as well. So the NEC framework is the Smart Enterprise. This is compiled of several different solutions and strategies that NEC has developed over the years. Unified communications, biometrics analytics, SDN, hardware, storage, servers. They all come together and form the NEC Smart Enterprise framework. And this is the platform we've been building our biometrics onto as well, and providing alerting and notifications through the UC communications with the biometrics, triggering different IoT devices based on the facial recognition as well. So NEC's history in the biometrics solution is been a global leader in the technology for over 40 years. We have been researching and developing facial recognition software for right about 40 years. And over the last probably about 10 years now or so, facial recognition is starting to gain more traction in the marketplace, and not only being used in government entities for forensic research and mugshot database lookups. We're now able to bring this solution and technology out to the private sector and providing some different use cases and visitor experiences based on the facial recognition. NEC's flagship global platform is now developed in over 55 countries worldwide in various vertical markets. We have research and development locations all throughout the world, Europe, India, Eastern Asia, U.S., South America. We have research and development across the world. The facial recognition has a distinct advantage over other biometric recognition systems such as fingerprinting, eye scanning. Face images can be captured at a greater distance from the subjects than touching a fingerprint monitor or a palm print monitor or sensor, or bringing your eye into a scanner, which is very intrusive, and nobody really cares to be doing that as well. With facial recognition, we can match those people and subjects from a greater distance from those things. The NEC facial recognition system is NeoFace Watch, is what we have today for physical security, alerting, and property management. It's a layered solution that will go on top of your existing camera systems. If you have the VMS systems, we will integrate with them. They will handle all the video storage that way. We'll integrate right with them. And integrate with pretty much any IP camera that's out there today. And resolution on the cameras is not as important as, say, as frame rate or lighting or the environment that the camera is placed in. The camera resolution, depending on your environment, maybe if it's a check-in counter or a registration desk, that resolution can be like a 1 meg camera. But then if you want to capture somebody at a greater distance or further away from the scene, that's when we would probably increase the resolution on the cameras, maybe add some optical zooms to them as well, and, to improve the image quality. And the frame rate is a major factor here as well. And then once we layer the NeoFace Watch on top of your existing security solution, we can also start sending out notifications based on those subjects that are getting matched. And those notifications or alarms, they can be monitored several different ways. Some of the different use cases that we have are in an education market. They want to start detecting expelled students, known drug dealers that are around the schools to monitor when they're coming around the property or coming in. So once one of those persons gets notified or matched on property, those alerts can be sent out to the security group of the school. And then they also want to do attendance taking. Some of them are wanting to know when the student has come on site. Are they here today? Maybe if a student doesn't arrive and they're supposed to be there, they can send out alerts and notifications notifying the school that, hey, Jason hasn't shown up on school yet today, and then they can start searching and calling the parents looking for maybe why he's not here. And then facial recognition can also be brought into access control as well. We can do this with a couple different ways. There is dual factor access control. Maybe you have a badge swipe today or an RF card reader, and if somebody steals your badge and they they come up to the property, they can pretty much badge in and get anywhere you were allowed to be at. We can layer another stage on that access control, and so when the subject swipes their card, the camera there will also recognize that person, merge those two data together and say, yep, that's a good card swipe, and that is the person that should be with that card, and allow that person in. That's also big for in healthcare markets, where they're wanting to secure the pharmacy, and they want to only let the pharmacist into the pharmacy instead of having a badge only. If the drug abuser or somebody grabs a hold of that badge or steals that badge, they're more likely to be able to gain access into the pharmacy. But if we add a dual layer of facial access on that, that door would not unlock for them. And then you can also do another level of access control just with the NeoFace Watch system, and without any badge reading or PIN coding, is by placing security levels on cameras, or you can place security levels on your subjects. So an example of that would be of this concert venue. They have the performers are in the back in their dressing rooms and whatnot, and on those cameras, for example, let's say those are security level 6, and then your concession worker, maybe they're also in the facial recognition system, and they only have a security level 2. So the concession worker, he can move around, or she can move around between cameras level 2, 1, and 0 in those areas and not be triggering alerts. But as soon as that concession worker walks into an area back where the performers are dressing, and it's a level 6 access area, that would start triggering alerts and alarms just based on they're not allowed to be in that area based on their security level. And those alerts and alarms could be sent out to the security personnel, emailing, they've come out on personal devices, iOS, iPhones, and Android devices. And it also integrates with the wearable watches, and they'll get the alerts and the notification right on their watch as well. And then we also integrate with the VMS systems. VMS systems are a great way to integrate the NeoFace Watch system and actually store all your video. The NeoFace Watch system, it does not store video. We are just analyzing the data, analyzing the camera streams coming in, and matching the faces and alerting, and then after that we dump the video. We don't store it. VMS systems will store the data, and with our integration into Milestone or Genetec and Iowa, those users will still continue to watch their Milestone dashboards or their VMS dashboards, and the NeoFace Watch will send the alerts to their dashboard, so they don't have to change anything of what they're doing. The alert just comes right in on their dashboard that they're used to using. And the benefit of using a VMS is they're storing the video that goes along with those events. So when that alert comes in, they can configure it to say, hey, when I open this alert, let's play the 10 seconds of video before the match and after the match, so I can get a little more deep investigative work done with that alert or notification that came in. Does that person have some tailgaters behind him? Is he pulling a card of some sort? You know, what does he have with him? Just a little bit more information on that scene of that alert that came in. And then with the Smart Enterprise solution, we're integrating the facial recognition into a lot of different areas. Queue management is a big one. We do this today out at Houston International Airport. We have it deployed on the international flight terminals. So when a flight comes in, the TSA will guarantee the airline or the airport that they'll get their passengers off that flight and through their immigrations and baggage claim and customs area and back into the airport to make their connecting flight in a set amount of time. It could be 30 minutes. I'm not sure what the contracts are. But what we've done out there is we place cameras along the journey, and we'll capture the face or the subjects coming off the airplane. We don't know who they are. We don't really care who they are. We're just tagging them as this person's exited the plane and started his journey through the international process. And it could be passenger 127 and then passenger 128. And then we place more cameras along that journey. There's another one there at immigrations, and then there's another camera at baggage claim, and then another one at the customs area. So as those people go through that journey, we're monitoring and we're clocking them as they go through that journey. And then based on the time it's taking to get through there, they can alert more TSA staff to come over and mitigate that problem. They can also take that data back to TSA and renegotiate their contracts to get more people on site and take care of that. Intrusion detection, I think we've kind of talked a little bit about this. You know, another good location for facial rec is casinos in that area, or anywhere where you're looking to match against bad subjects or good subjects. In the casino, for example, when they come into there, we put up watch lists for the employees, the cleaning crew, and give them all different security levels to monitor they're in the right areas and not being able to wander off into areas they shouldn't be. But then we also enroll the bad gamblers, or they're the advantage gamblers. They're the blackjack card counters. Anybody they've expelled off the property, they enroll those into some separate watch lists. Some of them could be high security, some of them could be medium, and some of them could be low threat people. And then alert based on those people coming in. And then also they're wanting to also monitor when a VIP comes back onto property, or the rewards card holder that comes in there all the time. They want to know when they're also on property. And so those alerts that we were triggering based on the subject and watch list can be sent out to the separate departments. So if the VIP walks on site, those alerts are only sent out to customer service, to the concierge, and so they're notified of where they were caught, or where they're at, what time they're located there. They get the image of the VIP that had walked back on site, so they know who they're going to look for to take care of that person. And then also you flip it the other way for the advantage gambler. Those alerts, and those are sent out to the pit bosses. Those alerts are sent out to the security personnel, and then they can go mitigate those problems as those people come right into the property. And then we're also bringing in effortless check-in and baggage check. But when we do the check-in, we're doing this out at Houston as well. It's more of a ID verification. The person that comes in there with the airline ticket, they're always scanning their ID, right? So we know who they are. We have an image of them based on their driver's license, and also in the subject database. And then we can match the actual physical person standing there against all three of those items that they have to make sure that's the right person checking in, getting onto the plane as well. Seamless payment. We're bringing in point-of-sale systems with facial recognition and order management. So if you have a restaurant, and you have people that are always coming in there, they always order the same thing or something like that, we can bring facial recognition in, and they can start building a little bit of data against your customers, and already populating their previous order that they had, maybe from the last visit, or maybe they can customize that last order and then make that order with their facial recognition by identifying them through their face as well. Biometric flight manifests, monitoring the, checking people in, make sure they are. Command and control. So some of the bigger solutions that we have are going. One of them happens to be in Colombia at a soccer stadium, and they deployed NeoFace Watch in this town in Colombia. There's 2 soccer teams in that town, and when one soccer team was playing, they wouldn't let the fans mingle in between the events, so they'd only let one team's fans into the stadium because of all the shenanigans and fighting that's going on. So we deployed NeoFace Watch there. We started enrolling everybody that comes into that arena, and when they're getting kicked out or being disgruntled patrons, we roll them into the bad guy watch list and start looking for him. So if he ever comes back on property, that guy is truly not able to get back into the stadium. I know, like today, around here, like they'll kick somebody out of the stadium, but what do they have? They have a black and white photo in the break room, and they tell everybody to, hey, watch out for this person. And that security personnel, he's gone out the door, and I don't know if he can remember that guy's face or even know what he really remembered and what he looks like, or if there was 10 people on that watch list, can he really monitor and watch for 10 people and also scan the crowd for just other safety incidents. But with NeoFace Watch put on here, yes, we can monitor in real time for all those faces and people coming through those scenes and trigger those alerts. Retail environment, yeah, they always have the break room board. There's always the black and white photos of the known subjects to watch out for, the bad check writers and things like that. But with facial rec, we can definitely mitigate some of that load off the security personnel. And then watch list and surveillance, right? That's what we're pretty much talking about here. Everything in NeoFace Watch is based off different watch lists and placing and managing that watch list based on your database. So there is some increased complexity. I know we've all heard about not NeoFace Watch per se, but we've all seen facial recognition become more mainstream. It's coming onto our personal devices through our iPhones. Samsung's got it as well. And that service that they're providing is very lightweight. Most of the time it's maybe you're the only face enrolled into your phone, and it's really just doing a one-to-one match into the database. That data set is not very large, or maybe it's 3 people or 4 people that you've stored in your phone to have access. So really, typically a high-quality image is required, but accuracy is critical, but speed is secondary, right? You're just unlocking your phone. And I've talked to some other people with their iPhones, and they say, well, it only really works about 30 or not 30, about 60 to 70 to 80% of the time, and people get frustrated with it, and because it's just not quite there yet on their devices. And then you go up a little bit step further, investigation, forensic searches. Maybe I have a known one subject, and I want to run that subject against a database of unknown people or known mugshot database list. This is really just a standard static image being sent in and being matched. Accuracy is critical again. Speed is really secondary because we're really just doing it offline. It's not real time. You're sending out a face, give me back my top 50 matches out of your database, and we can start mitigating that down. The next step in complexity is real-time surveillance and monitoring hundreds of cameras. Maybe our system will scale out to 1,000 cameras if you need 1,000 cameras running facial recognition. Our largest deployment we have today is right around 800 cameras, all running live facial recognition, camera streaming. In this type of environment, accuracy and speed are definitely critical. If you get an alert on an area or a subject that came through there, and let's say it's been a minute or 30 seconds after that person's been through that area and you got your alert, that person may be gone or already moved out of the area. It may be hard to know, it may be hard to detect or find again by you walking out there. So speed and accuracy are definitely critical in this area and doing real-time monitoring. And humans are not involved here. It's strictly real-time. The only human involvement would be getting the alert and then walking over there and taking care of that alert. So first there is a static identification off your cell phone or single image against a one subject database. And then the last complexity is real-time surveillance. Most frame recognition systems can't handle real-time identification properly. They miss too many people coming through the scene. They have false identification on people moving through those difficult real-time surveillance scenes. So most of the time you won't see too many people play in real-time surveillance. A lot of them are doing investigative work. Amazon, for example, is doing investigative work. And we have this deployed also in several police departments around the country, and also the U.S. government is also using our technology as well. But yeah, they're using it for investigative work, post-event. So if something happens at the 7-Eleven, they go out there and they grab the video out of 7-Eleven, they run it through their forensic files database, and if that guy's a known criminal or if he's got any type of previous record, mugshot, they can definitely identify that person and match them up. So moving people are more challenging than still images, right? People are always walking around. This scene here is a very crowded market, but very similar. It could be like a soccer stadium or a football stadium or any sporting arena where you have a mass amount of people moving through a scene. People aren't being cooperative, right? They're always looking down at their phone, but we're going to try to catch them as soon as they look up from their phone, or catch them in that one frame. So if maybe the camera's running 30 frames per second, eventually that person's going to look up from his phone or do something where he's not looking away. And if he looks at that camera at a split second, we will catch that person and monitor and match that person up and then trigger those alarms. Something to think about here is on 5 faces, and if your camera's running 12 faces per frame and you got a 10,000 watch list that you're monitoring, that's about 600,000 comparisons per second that the system needs to be able to handle, and to be able to trigger those alerts in real-time surveillance. I want to take it a step further. Maybe we've gone into an area where they want to do 17 faces per frame. I'm not quite sure what this would happen, but maybe this large scene they want to capture more than 5. I would think so. But they would also increase the frame rate up to 30 frames per second. Because at a slow frame rate, maybe 10-second frame rate, or a 10 frames per second frame rate, maybe this is your receptionist desk, where the person's just kind of standing there checking in, and since he's not moving around, we can get a nice clean image off a 10 frame per second camera. But in a mass moving area like this, if you're running 10 frames per second in here, the video may look clean, but the frames are blurry. So you need to increase that frame rate to like 30 frames per second, depending on the environment and how fast those people are moving through there. And then at 30 frames per second, all those frames start to become clearer, and we can start matching faces out of those systems. And then once we go that high, we're going to go up to this amount. We need to be doing about 5.1 million comparisons per second on this type of system, and get those alerts pushed out in real time. As you can see, that could be fairly taxing on a system to be able to do 3 to 5 million matches per second. So over the last few years, since 2009, NEC has been going through NIST testing. This is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and their purpose is, they're a U.S. government program, and their purpose is to drive new technology and innovations through benchmark testing and validation of those solutions. And we've been going through with them since 2009. They don't do a test every year. They do one about 3 to 4 years. They'll run a test. This speed test here is out of 2013. We have some new results from 2017, but for some reason they didn't give us the speed processing, but I'm sure we were faster than this in 2017. But here we were able to successfully validate that we could do 3.02 matches per second with the NeoFace Watch system. Some of the other players here, some of the other bigger players in facial rec that have been through this program with us the most are Morpho. They can only do about 110,000 matches per second, and then Cognetic is also a big player in facial recognition. I've seen they've been throughout the NIST testing throughout the years as well. and they're running at about 40,000 matches per second. So this is kind of why a lot of these other vendors, they don't really get into being able to stream 1,000 cameras, monitoring large data sets, and being able to trigger out accurate alerts based on those on that environment and scene. Most of them will do is forensic work or still image matching. And then here's another test. This one was out of the 2017 test, and what this one's here is demonstrating is two of the different environments that NIST ran their testing on. The simple environment up on the scale that moves up on the left-hand side here. This is a simple environment. This is a passenger gate. People are cooperative. They're looking at the camera and moving through that scene. We'll match and hit on that person about 98 to 99% of that time going through that simple scene and match up to an accurate match in that simple environment. The next guy there is 3M Cognate. You know, everybody's fairly decent at moving around in that simple environment and matching at a decent rate. And then if you go into a difficult scene, and this is also what NIST also does, they do the simple and the difficult scene testing. And on a difficult environment, this would be your sporting arena, anywhere you have a mass amount of people moving through the scene. NEC was able to demonstrate that we can hit and match on about 86 to 87% of those people coming through that difficult scene and being triggering out alerts and accuracy alerts based on that coming through there. IDEA is the next person in line here on this difficult scene. They're missing about 40% of the people coming through that scene. So almost, not quite half, but almost half of the people coming through there are being missed by the other markers, other vendors of facial recognition in real-time surveillance. So this is some of one of the testing we've been doing through NIST. We've been #1 since 2009 for both speed and accuracy and getting out of valid results. And we continue to heavily invest in the facial recognition. Our latest algorithm that we have, we just got it out about 2 or 3 months ago. I wish we would have had it for the NIST testing. I'm sure we'll improve on it and get it into the next testing cycle that has it, but our latest algorithm is more resilient to facial hair, face tilt, sunglasses, hats, all those different variables that need to be looked at when you're deploying facial recognition. So we continue to improve our algorithm every day. And we are a flexible platform. So maybe today you want to roll out and put out a 5 or 10 camera system, and then maybe as your property grows or you start to find more use cases in more areas you'd like to deploy facial recognition, we can scale this system out. It just scales out. We can add more cameras to it as you need, all the way up to 1,000 cameras today. Excuse me. So what is NeoFace Watch? So I'm going to take a step back here and say, if you do a search on NEC's website for facial recognition, you may see several different NeoFace applications. NeoFace Welcome, NeoFace Reveal, I can't remember, there's another one. But then there's also NeoFace Watch. The NeoFace is the facial recognition algorithm. All those applications are using that world-leading algorithm. Watch is the application we're deploying here. The Watch is watch list, real-time surveillance on different watch lists. The user interface for the solution is really slick. It's all web-based. There's no separate apps to load into. You can just log in through the web browser, send pre-recorded video through it, do your still image face searching, detailed reporting. You can pull reports, daily report. You can pull a report on an individual subject and see where that person has been throughout the property in a certain amount of time. What cameras was he captured on? You can pull a report on an area. Maybe you want to see everybody that's come through the lobby or come through the warehouse area. You can definitely pull reports based on that as well. Yeah, several different reports you can pull and look at. And then we also do the forensic analysis of archived video or post-event video archiving. Also, with NEC's facial recognition, there's several ways you can build your database. One way to build your database is to pull your security badges. If you have security badges on your property or how you manage, you can pull your database out of there. You can create a database by just pulling images off Facebook and enrolling images off the web. Anywhere you can get a screenshot or an image of the person, you can enroll that person in. You can also enroll unknown people. So if an unknown person comes through that scene or comes through that camera, we can enroll that person and store him into the database. And then at the end of the day, maybe something happened on site, something happened, and it happens to be from an unknown person. We can go back and look at all reporting for that unknown for the day and see where'd that person go for the whole day, even though he wasn't enrolled in our system when he came into the building, but as soon as he entered the property, he was actively monitored and watched throughout your property. So NEC Watch, it's fast, accurate, it's the most flexible facial recognition system. Like I said, we can support pretty much any IP camera, security camera out there. You can even stream your cell phone video off your phone through the system if you needed something like that. But we do have mobile applications that go along with the solution as well. The mobile app it's very useful. You get your mobile alerts on it, right? So when your alert or threat comes in, the alerts get pushed out to your mobile devices. But also you can do a face search right from your mobile device. So an example is a security personnel comes on site and he's noticed a couple guys fighting on the property, and he goes over there to break it up and says, who are you guys? They're not working with him. They're not telling him who he is. He can take a quick snapshot with his iPhone or his Android device, and he can just send that image right into NeoFace Watch and get immediate results right back there on the spot. If who that person is, if he's already enrolled, if he happened to be caught as an unknown, they'll know he's unknown number 256, and they could put a name to him at that time. Then come back with a result. Maybe he's not in the phone. Maybe he's not in the facial recognition system. You can enroll him right then and there on the spot into the facial recognition system as well. And then as soon as you enroll them from your smart device, they are in the database and they are being actively monitored in real time at that time. So we've been designed for national security, border control, loss prevention, and VIP recognition. And we can go into large data sets as well. Our largest database that we have running today is, well, it may be a little larger today, but last year it was 70 million people, and that happened to be the India DMV driver's license records. Anytime you go get a new driver's license, they're asking you to submit your facial recognition so that they can validate driver's license against people who have them and things like that. And I don't know if you'll notice or not, but I've noticed around here on the news is that in Texas they're making everybody go get new faces taken for their driver's licenses. And the new requirement is you can't smile in your photos anymore. They want you to have a stoic face. The reason why they're doing that is as a still or a stoic face like that or a straight face builds a better template than a person smiling or grinning or grimacing. And then with that straight face or still straight face, when the face does change from a frown to a grimace or whatnot, it can be more accurately matched. But you're going to start seeing that a lot coming around as well. So some of the features for NeoFace Watch, it's flexible matching. You can build separate different databases. A real-time surveillance database. This is your database for real-time monitoring. You can go up to about 30,000 subjects in your real-time. Your face search database, your forensic search database, that can go up into the hundreds of thousands of people into your forensic search database. The reason why we keep our real-time surveillance recommended at 30,000 is to eliminate false positives, eliminate people, doppelgangers. Everybody has a doppelganger out there. Somebody looks similar to you out there somewhere. And a lot of times, maybe if you get over 30,000 or subjects or so, we may not be quite as accurate or as the NIST results stated how accurate we are. So we like to keep that around 30,000 so we can produce those results out there as we've proved that we can do through NIST testing. And then the face search is your forensic search. It goes into a large data set, cut through 300,000 people. You'll run your image through there for forensic search and say, hey, give me my top 50 matches out of there. And then within the software, there's photo editing tools, and you can compare the subjects with the image side by side. You can overlay them and superimpose them in and out and fade them over each other to kind of help mitigate that little forensic work, investigative work to narrow down who that person really is. You want to definitely do that in a large data set. The DMV at India, the way they can go to such a large data set and not have to worry about false matching is, well, what's the first thing that they're going to ask for? They're going to ask for your driver's license. And so they have the name off the driver's license. They know who that person is. So when they go to dip into that 70 million subject database, they can pull that one individual out. And now we're only doing that one-to-one matching at that time. And it's the same for access control and things like that, where they're using a dual badge with facial recognition to get into that pharmacy, or PIN codes or anything like that. We can narrow the database down to those subjects and start matching against them. And then your archive database, you can start archiving unknown subjects into your archive and start storing those out and retain that data. Those archive servers can store up to over 100 million people in the archive serving. We are scalable. I think I've already mentioned this. We will scale out to about up to 1,000 cameras, and our largest active customer today is running about 800 cameras, running real-time surveillance. Real-time alerts, we can send out alerts through email. It's not the best way to get your alerts, but we can definitely send out the alert through email and smartphone, so that way if you get it on your smart device or you want to keep a record of it through your email with your alerts, you can could manage those through an email account. Maybe in the security room or anywhere you want to play an audio file over the paging system or something like that. We can play audio files, maybe a intruder alert or any type of alert you want to play over the audio system. And then there's also web pop-ups. So if you're logged into the NeoFace Watch system through the web browser, those alerts will come through a pop-up while you're logged in. If you're one of the persons designed to get that or set up to get that alert, it'll pop up on your dashboard. The flow monitoring, queue analysis, that's how we got running on at Houston International Airport. It's also beneficial for maybe amusement parks, anywhere you have a queue depth, you want to kind of monitor people coming in and out. Then access control, and then video management systems we integrate there as well. And then, so we do have another application here today. This is that we released here last month. It's called the Front Desk Assistant, or FDA app. It's kind of put out there for enterprise or any small business that has a visitors coming in and out of their property. A lot of people will have a sign-in sheet. It's kind of hard to manage. You don't really keep good track of when people are coming in and out through a sign-in sheet. But with the Front Desk Assistant, we can check them in. And if it's your first visit, we'll ask, you know, do you want to be stored in the facial recognition system? Some states require that, some don't. Some only require a little label on the outside of the door stating you're being monitored at all times and your face may be captured. But some states require you to notify anybody that checks in or is being profiled with their face. So during the check-in process, it'll quickly snap a picture of the subject standing there, and then if there's no match results, ask them to enroll. They can enroll their first name, last name, company, and other information if they need. And then after the check-in process, they'll select who they're here to see or their host, And then it'll also print a badge. A little label printer badge comes with it, and they can print out little label badges for their shirt. And on that label badge, on that badge, it'll have their picture on it. It'll have their name and their host who they're there to see. And you can also customize the badge as well to have your company logo at the top. It doesn't have to be NEC or anything like that. And then also on this app here, you can also customize the top logo here as well to have your company logo placed on here instead of the NEC logo as well. And then at the end of their visit, they come in, they hit the checkout button, it takes a quick snap picture of them, and then matches against the database and says, hey Jason, thanks for coming in, and it checks them out automatically. And then maybe the next day they come in, they do the check-in, it'll match them up and say, hey, thanks for coming back, because it already knows that you've already enrolled in the facial rec, and it'll populate your personal information, kind of streamlining all that visitor check-in. And then also there's detailed reporting, so you can run daily reports, monthly reports, and monitor who's coming in and out of your business or property that day. There's also a few other things that are also built in. There's a customizable NDA. It's optional. You don't have to turn that on, but during the check-in process, you can have an NDA set up where they will have to scroll through it and then check it to agree to the NDA, and then you can clear that process coming onto the property. Got the extensive reporting. You can improve your employee efficiency with this solution as well. You don't have to go down to the lobby and wait for your guest to arrive or your visitor to come in. Maybe they're running 10, 15 minutes late. I can continue to stay at my desk and then wait for that person to get on site, check in. I'll get notified, hey, your guest is downstairs. And in my notification, it'll have an image of that person. So when I walk down to the lobby, if it's a busy lobby, I'll know who I'm looking for and be able to pick him out of the crowd. Create the visitor reports, provide a little bit better customer service, knowing who they are coming in, and print badges as well. The little label printer there to print your badges. So use case in vertical markets. This is a stadium event. This is a stadium use, right? We're just looking for the bad patrons that have been fighting or whatnot, and the green guys are the good guys that we're allowing in. And that scene here. So some use cases here are the real-time surveillance. This is crowd surveillance, bad guy list, good guy list, access control with real-time surveillance. And these video or images can come through the CTV cameras, smart devices, IP cameras, VMS video feeds, anywhere where we can get an IP camera stream into the system. We can start matching faces out of those video streams. Offline face searches, your forensic work, still images from cameras or pre-recorded video that come in. Anywhere we want to do an offline database search against a larger data set than our real-time surveillance. ID verification, verifying the passports, driver's licenses, anything like that. And then the crowd flow management. And then our newest one that we brought out was that guest and visitor check-in process. That can be deployed on any Android tablet or UT880 or NEC Android-based telephone. We can do that as well. We can go into retail environments, loss prevention, monitor maybe just the front door, maybe the couple cameras on the front door, maybe a camera at the checkout counter or maybe the customer service area, and monitor people that are coming in. Banking and financial, bankers definitely want to know when their VIP or their big account holders come back into the property. Maybe they've been out in the field working all day. They come in there with some old dirty overalls on or some cover or whatever, and they walk into the bank and they don't recognize who he is because he's wearing old dirty clothes and he's not treated properly. But if they had facial rec, they'd know exactly who that person is no matter what he was wearing and be able to cater to that person. And banking has some other uses as well. It goes into kiting. One of the biggest problems is if I go to a bank and I deposit, say, $5,000 into this bank, and it's a Bank of America, and I go to this bank here and I can withdraw that $5,000. And then for some way, I'm not quite sure how it works, but before that $5,000 is deposited and withdrawn, he can go to another bank, and then he can pull that money out again, and then he can go to the next one and pull it out again. So that's kind of, they call it kiting from what I've learned from that. And so they want to deploy cameras and facial recognition into that scenario where they can eliminate that kiting. Say, hey, this guy was just a bank just down the couple streets, a couple blocks away, and now he's at this bank. Why is he here? Why didn't he stay at the other one? So they're kind of monitoring that as well. Law enforcement, national security, right? Investigative work. We've kind of talked quite a bit about some of these use cases and areas. Casinos, VIP gamblers, the bad gamblers coming in. So as you can see, based on this solution and the way it's designed, is you can go into a lot of different areas and build a lot of different use cases and workflows just based off of that facial rec and based off that matching and results and details, and be able to deploy the system in a lot of different ways. Schools, they want to verify the bad dad that's trying to go in there and pick up the kid that he's not supposed to be taking out of the school, or maybe the wrong person's not picking up the right student. They want to put the local sexual predator list in the database, so they want to monitor sexual predators around the schools and things like that. Guest visitor check-in, enterprise. We're expanding this. We're going to be expanding all these check-ins and start integrating those into more and more systems, into the healthcare, maybe pull the HL7 patient records data, and also getting into the PMS systems or property management systems for hotels, and bringing in that type of solution with a visitor check-in. Just factors to consider when you're deploying: the speed of the scenes, the face angles, distance from the cameras, faces in the frame. Typically, we only run about 3 to 5 faces per frame. Maybe in the one frame, we capture the first 5 people that are in line, and then if you're running 30 frames per second, as those people move throughout those scenes, we're going to be catching the next 5 in the next frame, and the next 5 in the next frame. Depending on the scene, do I need to start going up into 20 faces per frame or more? And lighting, make sure you have good lighting in the area as well. Day versus night. Maybe in the morning you got great lighting coming in and it's working perfect. And then in the afternoon your sun shifts and it's now your sunlight is just beaming right in directly into your camera lens, and it's washing out your video. If you're washing out the video, we won't see the faces in that video stream. So I'm open for questions. Yep, that was it, what I have today for NeoFace Watch and the solution with different watch lists. I'm open to questions if anybody has anything or want to talk about different use cases or scenarios.
Yeah, Jason, I've just unmuted everybody, so if you have any questions, please let us know.
Hey, Chuck, it's Corrine in the Huntsville office.
Hey, Corrine.
Hey, I know I wasn't your target audience for this, but I will tell you I greatly benefited from it. This was very informative, and I mean, it's just come to mind several other applications that would be very beneficial and places that this would be wonderful for. We have small government contractors here in the Huntsville office that every time we go in and out, we have to sign in, we have to show who we are. The FDA assistant application was just awesome. Yeah. And I think it could be very, very good here in this small government arsenal-type offices we've got, and so I think that would be great. The other thing is I'm also an RN, and having been a supervisor in the mother-baby field, I really wish we had had this years ago, because the security with this is just unbelievable. So I really do appreciate y'all taking time. I know, like I said, I know I wasn't your primary target audience, but I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah. My wife works in, she's a neuropsychologist and works with a lot of mental health patients. Oh. And you know, she gets threats all the time of, you know, all the time, and they have no way to monitor those people coming back onto the hospital property today and make sure they're not coming in. Yeah.
And then your school scenario, my husband is a retired teacher, and wow, is that ever applicable this day and time?
Absolutely. Yeah. it's really nice to be able to have this technology come around at this time because we definitely need it.
I do have one question. If they already have a video surveillance equipment, can this just be added to it?
Absolutely. That's how we see it. It's more of an add-on to their existing security solution on the real-time surveillance. That FDA, we don't need to really be doing real-time surveillance on FDA.
Right, I agree. Right.
Yeah. There's several ways we can deploy that.
Well, I do have a customer with several warehouses that they wanted video surveillance equipment, and I've already given them pricing for that. But I think that this might be something they would appreciate as well.
Yeah. We can, as long as that camera system is an IP camera solution.
Yes,
not a problem. Yes, okay. I think analog cameras are starting to go to the wayside. I don't think we're deploying too many analog cameras anymore.
Exactly, right.
If you do come across a person that has analog cameras and they got coax ran out there, they can convert that coax line to IP and not have to recable and put IP
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's always a way around that.
Well, thank you all very much.
Absolutely.
Any questions or comments from anybody else? Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close down the conference and stop the recording. I hope that, again, I hope it had everybody has a better understanding of the NeoFace Watch product and that this was thought-provoking. So, Jason, thank you very much for your time, and at that, I have stopped the recording.